Hey, in this episode, I have Jeff Herr on again, and we are talking about the stages of that franchisee-franchisor relationship. There's Greg Nathan really has 6 stages that he coined on that relationship and what it looks like. We went through each of them. So I think this would be helpful for franchisors that are trying to navigate these relationships with franchisees. Some of you are doing it right, and some of you are doing it wrong. And franchisees, I think this will help you understand the different stages that you are at and how you can move from one stage to another to get to the ultimate stage where you and the franchisor are working well together. So hope you enjoyed the show.
Representing Franchise Secrets, Eric Von Horn.
Jeff, we're live, man. You ready? Ready? This is like 2 weeks back to back.
Born ready, man. Born ready. You know what today is?
Last time you said that it was time change coming up. We did that. I didn't even know the time had changed because we were skiing in Breckenridge and Vail, and the time changed, and I didn't even know. I didn't even care. My wife is still like having trouble with it with the kids.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm telling you, man, it's like a light switch for me. Like, just the fact that like Cincinnati's right on the edge of the time zone. So like we're already close to 8 o'clock at sunset now.
Oh, I love it.
And it's awesome. And by end of May, dude, we'll be light until like past 9 o'clock, like 9:45. Like we are on the very, very edge of the time zone. So we get the most amount of nighttime light. But no, today's a bad day. It's a bad day.
Tell me. Talk to me.
We are now on, I believe, day 400 of not having Front Street trucker hats.
I know. Jim dropped the ball. Jim has probably never listened to the podcast, but we will send this clip to him because he's dropped the ball. He ordered the
We're
wrong
on like
hat.
day 400 of asking and not having Front Street trucker hats.
Well, at least he's always on the call with the brain.
I'm not going to throw in the towel though, man. I'm not going to throw in the towel.
So when you see us with trucker hats, you'll know Jim picked up the ball. All right, man, we're going to talk. You don't even know what we're talking about today, but I'm going to tell you what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about franchisee-franchisor relationships. And we're just going to touch on it today. And I think what would be good is if we kind of did deep dive on the different stages that franchisees and franchisors, well, really it's the franchisees that they go through as they become a seasoned franchisee. And so there's a guy, his name's Greg Nathan. He came up with the 6 stages of franchisee relationships. And it's something that we talk to our brands about over at Front Street. We're like, they need to understand how franchisees go through different stages in the relationship with a franchisor. And so I want to start to go through each of these. You probably don't even know exactly what they are. We've talked about it a little bit before, but let's just kind of hit each one and just give a little commentary on what we've seen, because you've been a franchisee. I've been a franchisee before. We've been on the franchisor side of things, and now we advise franchisors. So, and I've just seen these stages to be true. And so to set the stage, let's say this is a stage that franchisees go through with a good brand. There are some brands out there that are not so good brands. And so that's you, part of a really bad brand, meaning no franchisees are making money and the franchisors just, there's a lot of trouble going on in the system. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a franchisee going through these different stages with a franchisor that is growing and is really franchisee focused and helping their franchisees become successful. So anything before we get started on that?
No, let's do it. What's stage 1?
Stage 1 is the Glee Stage. Greg says, I'm very happy with the So he says on the Glee Stage, I'm very happy with the relationship I have with my franchisor. They obviously care about my success and have delivered on all they said. I'm excited about my new business and I'm hopeful for the future. So this is someone that's really, they've come out of training. They're getting started. everything is, like kind of what they validated is true. And Greg says this stage usually lasts, between 3 to 12 months, depending on their past business experience. So, very high emotionally, really, really happy franchisees. So anything that you would say with the Glee stage?
Yeah, they're living in the vacuum. Everything's rose colored. Everything's going to work. Everything's going to go up and to the right. Every day is going to be not a good day, but a great day. That's just not the reality of owning a business. So I think that it's natural to get super excited. By the way, you should be super excited.
Yeah, this is normal. You should go through the Glee stage so that
everybody should be super excited. It is most brands. If you don't have like a welcome call, welcome to the family call, or some kind of formal setting, right? When the franchise candidate crosses the threshold of being a franchisee, obviously everybody's got to sign a franchise agreement. Obviously, everybody's got to sign whatever that franchisor wants them to sign. Obviously, there has to be an exchange of money. But after that, you got to have a celebration. You got to have a celebration. You have to have a welcome celebration as a franchisor. And at that stage, everybody should be at the Glee stage, right? It's awesome.
You're looking for a new member. You don't have money coming out. You don't have a bunch of money coming out of pocket. You're happy with training. And then you are starting to ramp up. So 3 to 12 months, it's all in the ramp up. You haven't been, kicked in the face. You haven't been punched in the gut yet. And business owners, entrepreneurs at some point are going to get down. They're going to get kicked in the face, punched in the gut. Not everything is, rainbows and unicorns, because what's next in the fee stage, according to Greg, is, people are thinking, even though I'm making money, these royalty payments are really taking the cream off the top. What am I getting for my money? And I just saw a post in the Franchise Secrets Facebook group. Someone anonymously said, hey, I'm paying $150 a week for technology fee. So I'm guessing they are absolutely in the fee stage. And I think it's important to, even for new franchisees or franchisors, kind of set the stage with all of their franchisees. You are going to go through these stages. So new franchisor, get his book, The Franchisee Factor, and start to think about your franchisees going through these stages so you understand what they're going to go through before they even understand what they're going to go through. So the fee stage, they're making money, they're happy. This is where but he's like, what am I getting for my money? That's what's starting to go through their mind. They're starting to see all these royalties going out, and so they can really go from there back to the Glee stage, or just kind of hunker down in the fee stage. So what's your experience seeing, maybe being in the fee stage, or seeing franchisees in the fee stage?
There's always this happens. I read this article, by the way, and it's just unbelievable how spot on it is. The fee stage is real. What am I getting for my royalties? Look, at the end of the day, a franchisor needs to provide support to the franchisee. But they really are kind of providing, its support is really part of something bigger. It's part of a platform, right? A platform also includes access to other franchisees, for peer-to-peer. It's access to content, a content library, so you can do marketing. It's access to tools. And yes, it's access to support. I think that what's important is a good franchisor is working on things in the future that are going to provide value to the franchisee. If nothing is ever going to be done, websites are never done, operational manuals are never done, tech stacks are never done, brand standards are never done. There's always going to be the next model, right? Brands need to grow and evolve internally to become bigger, faster, stronger. So I think that if I hear somebody say, what am I getting today for my royalties, I think it's important for franchisors to share how they're supporting franchisees today, what they're working on in the future to provide next level support, and those financial commitments from a franchisor, that's today's dollars. Even though what those financial commitments are going to aren't necessarily going to be realized and as tools for franchisees until the future. So yes, some of your royalty dollars, a lot of your royalty dollars are going towards today's support, but a lot of those, that's the operating capital for a franchisor to invest in infrastructure and next level tools for franchisees. There's always going to be things in development. Those things in development take time and money and energy. And so it's important, I think it's important for franchisors to explain what they're working on to the franchisees. So it's like, hey, let's not just look at like what you're getting today from a support sense and taking your royalties and saying this equals that. It's yes, there's that piece, but there's all the stuff that we're working on to allow you to be bigger, faster, stronger in the future.
So we were having a conversation, I think it was yesterday, with one of our brands, and she said something when we were talking about different fees. We were talking about, royalties and technology fees and marketing fund and all of that, and, all kinds of stuff. And she's like, I want my franchisees to make money. This is, just because your franchisor is charging you fees doesn't mean they're trying to fee you to death. She was wanting to make sure that she charged enough fees to be able to provide the infrastructure, but not charge them too much where it becomes more of a drain on them. And so franchisees listening to this today, it's hard. You don't know what your franchisor is really thinking. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You might be like be a part of a brand like one of our founders is leading, where they are very concerned with the franchisee and not wanting to charge too much in these fees, but enough so they can really provide a lot of value and ROI on those. Or you might be a part of a franchisor that is just trying to make as much money off of these fees, and it's not right. And but at the end of the day, you can't control it. And if you can't control it, it's not worth staying there. And that's kind of what was coming up in the Franchise Secrets Facebook group. People were like, hey, the fees are what they are. You knew what they were getting into it. You knew what kind of escalations they might be. So whether you like it or not, get over it. And hopefully you're part of one of the brands, like what, one of our founders was talking about yesterday. They are just so pro franchisees making money and being happy. So ready to go on to the next stage? Attention, franchisors and franchisees. There are two really important resources that I want to share with you that will help you avoid costly mistakes and increase your enterprise value. The first is our free Facebook group. It's a community that has over 4,000 franchisees and franchisors in it. When somebody asks a question, they get honest and authentic answers from multiple perspectives. You can join the group for free over at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. The second resource I want to share with you is if you're a franchisee and you want to be around a community of successful Zs and other brands and in other industries, this is why I created the Franchisee Mastermind. If you want access to the best single and multi-unit owners to know what they're doing, or if you want to be around other multi-brand owners, then you'll want to check out my Franchisee Mastermind. The reason why people join is they want access to my Rolodex, my connections, to each other. They want a shortcut success, both short-term and long-term. Links will be in the show notes or at scalablefranchise.com.
Next stage, stage 3.
Stage 3 is the me stage. Again, this is a successful franchisee going through these stages with a brand that really cares about them. It's the me stage. And Greg says, he kind of frames it up. Yes, I'm successful, but my success is the result of my hard work. I could probably be just as successful without my franchisor. You've never heard that before.
Yes.
I've been
me
there.
Versus
I've
we.
been there. I've been there.
Me versus we. Yeah.
It's the me stage. So they think like and there's some truth to after you learn everything and you've been, and this process has been shortcutted, You could have done it by yourself, but you forget the help that you had along the way, the training that you had, the other franchisees that have helped you along the way. There's a lot that you forget. This is where I was when I was, I've been in these different stages before, but when I was a Solo Salon Studios, there was the me stage. And it was after we'd built out 3 of them with the franchisor's help, and they did a lot for us. We said, we could have done this just, and be just as successful without the franchisor. And there's probably some truth to that, but we knew the playbook. We had the playbook already. That's why. And here's the other thing. If we would have done it by ourselves, we wouldn't have had an exit to private equity. The same private equity company that bought out the franchisor bought us out as a large multi-unit franchisee. So I'm glad I kind of got over that stage, and I'm glad I went with that brand versus just doing it on my own. But the me stage, man, any comments on the me stage?
Same as before. It's natural, and you're going to feel it. Me versus we. I mean, it's really is.
Hey, you can't go to the we stage yet, because that's the last stage. So you can't get ahead of me.
No, I'm not going to the. Oh, okay. So don't talk about we at all.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah. I'll down. You will not be invited back if you do that. I think we've the me stage. It's, it is what it is. You need to get past your own ego, your whatever it is. Just get over it, because the next stage is the free stage. I really don't like all these restrictions that my franchisor is putting on the way that I run my business. I feel frustrated and annoyed at their consistent interference. I want to be able to do my own thing, express my own ideas. So it's the next thing after the me stage, pretty similar, but it's the free stage.
Freedom.
Yeah, they're making me talk to different vendors. They're making me do all this stuff. There are parameters or guardrails that the franchisor has, and you don't like them. And this is where franchisees can, if you get stuck in that stage, it's you become that negative influence on other people. It's just not a good place to be. Any comments on the free stage? We don't have a whole lot of time, so we kind of got to rip through these pretty fast.
Yeah. I think that, I can think of some franchisees and systems now that are kind of in this stage, and they, it kind of comes out too, like during validation, if they're talking to a potential franchisee, and it comes out around this, like, I want freedom, I want to do it my way. I think that my way is better. Once again, kind of at the end of the day, it's all going to be about relationships between franchisee and franchisor. And I think it's important for the franchisor to recognize where their franchisees, their individual franchisees, are in these different stages. And it's a lot of it's just about communication as well. I mean, that's really kind of the deal. I think it's natural for franchisees to hit this. I want to be free. I want freedom. I just want to do it my way. But we got to keep going through the cycle here, because there is, I think if I'm not mistaken, that's stage 4. Is that stage 4? Is that the bottom?
Stage 4.
Is that rock bottom?
Yes, that's the rock bottom. And out of that's
rock bottom.
The stage. Yeah.
So let's go. So let's get to stage 5.
All right. So with the free stage, I'm going to just a little bit on that. You can get stuck there. And that's where there's resentment with the franchisor. Also, franchisors, like Jeff was saying, you need to understand that this is where your franchisees are in these different stages. And like Jeff was saying, communicate with them. Be somewhat empathetic, because they are going to go through these stages. You just need to have that opinion like, well, they're just a bad franchisee because they're at this stage. They need to get to the stage that's the we stage. No, you need to understand where they are and help them get through that versus just get frustrated with them. All right, the C stage. I guess I can see the importance of following the franchise system, and I do acknowledge the value of my franchisor support service. I can see that if we all did our own things, standards would drop, and we would lose the very things that give us our competitive edge. They would hurt. It would hurt the brand. So anyway, that's the C stage. They start to understand some of the value. Any comments on that before we hit the we stage?
I mean, this is where it starts to get fun, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, thought just kind of popped into my head. It's like, you know, when you kind of tell your kids, like, do this or do this, or do this or do that, and this is the way you should be doing it, and they're just constantly, they're pushing back. I want to do it my way, you know, I'm not doing it that way. But then it's kind of neat where you see them kind of adopt, like, okay, maybe my parents were right. Or even better, they start to educate a sibling on how to do it. And it's kind of the thing that they were pushing back on for a long time, but now they believe they see the light, and they see that, yeah, maybe my parents were right. So yes, I mean, this is where I think this is where franchise systems start to get healthy, when you get people through some of those early stages, right? You kind of hit rock bottom, but then you get folks that really start to buy in. Aha, okay, this could take a couple of years for somebody to kind of get to the C stage. And probably they're multi-unit, right? They're working many territories, or if it's brick and mortar, they have multiple locations, and they're tired of, it's almost like they're tired of doing it by themselves. And it's like, wow, okay, there's something to leverage here. I see where we're going, and I want to be a part of it.
I was having a conversation with a franchisee that's been a very successful franchisee with the Pass Network in a new system now, and not any of ours. So in a new system for about 2 years, just going through, just very negative. And he had reason to be. But he's been working really hard with the franchisor to come up with some things and to try to move through these stages. And so I think the franchisor and the franchisee are kind of at that C stage, because the franchisor in this particular one had to make some changes as well. But, I didn't think you would ever get out of these negative stages, but now hopefully in the next 6 months, they're at the we stage. And this is what every franchisor wants to get to, and every franchisee should want to get to, is the we stage. We need to work together to make the most of our business relationship. I need some specific assistance in certain areas to develop my business, but I also have some ideas that I want my franchisor to consider. So this is when you're working together on things. And I think the new franchisors kind of go through this process as well. And they think every franchisee should just be at the we stage immediately. And so I think franchisors' big takeaway, we want all of our franchisees to get to that we stage, but you need to be able to help them get through all of these stages and get through them, at somewhat swiftly, so they don't get stuck in some of these stages, because that just becomes toxic. So anything about the we stage, Jeffrey?
I mean, that's the dream. That's the dream for both sides, right? I mean, initially, when you go all the way back to the Glee stage, the dream is like, wow, this is going to be awesome doing it together. Like, that's kind of the Glee stage. But then you gotta go through these other phases mentally to get through your headspace and kind of move towards the end. But that is literally the definition of why franchising, is around and why it works. It's this idea of, let's do it together. Let's row the boat in the same direction. We are part of a community. We are family. And it's just more fun doing anything in this life. Is definitely more fun doing it with other people.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, that is literally human connection. Like, yes, there's a sense of achievement when you do something on your own, by yourself, nobody helped you. But it's never as rewarding as going through life with a partner, with a friend, with a business associate, with a franchisor, and doing it together. I mean, where you can hug and high five, like that's what it's all about.
Boom.
We are in it together.
All right. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.